Thank you. And the other question I wanted to ask you is, as I learned to, well, actually, at first it was more of a routine and now it just happens normally, that I constantly appreciate everything, from what I'm eating to the water that's coming out of the shower head when I'm taking a shower, and I realize how it got to there. Is that something that is contributing to my river moving faster?
Yes, because as you're deliberately tuning to things that you appreciate, you're deliberately tuning to the vortex, which means the practiced vibration of being there and staying there is causing you to feel more familiar, and therefore you are then able to interpret with more specifics what's there. That's precisely what we meant earlier today when we said once you get in and milk it and learn to hang around in there longer, then from inside the vortex things will begin to manifest.
I see.
The first thing that begins to occur is there's an emotional rendezvous. Then ideas begin occurring to you. You're actually having communication with broader perspective. In other words, all of this indications of you are rendezvousing, and that rendezvousing will continue to evolve until you are rendezvousing with material experiences and people and places from inside the vortex. In other words, what you're helping us say, and we really love saying it to all of you, is that this vortex is not a non-physical place. It's a non-resistant place. It's a place of non-resistance where physical things can manifest. That's as well as we've ever said that. Thank you very much. Yes.
With that said, knowing that I can attract anything and have anything that I can see in my mind.
Well, you can attract. You don't have to see it in your mind. You've attracted it. Seeing it in your mind is when it manifests. In other words, once you're able to see it, once you are interpreting this vibrational vortex visually, now it begins to manifest.
I see.
It's there already. It's done already. Now what you're doing in your practice is practicing your ability to translate it into something that is more tangible. Are you getting this? You see, you all think that this physical realm is a reality that's different than the reality that it is. It's a vibrational interpretation. So we're just teaching you how to get into the vortex in sync with your source, and then begin doing your vibrational interpreting. And as you do your vibrational interpreting from inside the vortex, things will begin to manifest as evidence of your alignment.
With that said, this may be sort of an egocentric question. Is it possible to alter your DNA or to manifest sort of supernatural abilities?
Yes, and what is that DNA stuff you're talking about? Because well, we'll give you the answer first, and then you can tell us what it is. But is it possible to alter it? Not only is it possible, you're doing it all day, every day. Because as your body stands as it stands, in whatever condition it is, your exposure to it is causing you to ask for improvement. And the improved pre-body, pre-manifestation is already a reality in this vibrational reality. So the energy of your evolving in terms of manifestation body is already there. It's already changed. In other words, the word DNA may not be the perfect word for it, but don't you think if a body is healthy and it becomes sick, hasn't something changed big time? Yes. And if a body is sick and it becomes healthy, hasn't something changed big time? If a body weighs 7 pounds and now it weighs 170 pounds, hasn't something changed big time? In other words, you are evolving magnificently, and at the basis of that evolution is a vibrational beingness that is evolving too. And when you get it, that changes with the power of your mind, and then everything that is physical follows it, then the answer to both of those questions has to be yes, 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 yes. 2 questions and 100 yeses.
And so how do I, to manifest a natural ability, how do I go to that, to align myself to a feeling that I don't know what that feels like?
By first accepting that it's not supernatural, it's natural. By not trying to prove something to others who are outside the vortex. That's the thing that trips you up. When you call it supernatural, then you are taking into account the naysayers who would challenge it, and now their vibration's all part of it, so you don't do anything extraordinary.
I see.
You do it out of your pure desire to do it, and out of your lack of care of anyone's response to it, but your own alignment.
I see. And thank you. One last thing.
Esther used to have a dream that she was flying, and she'd see someone on the ground and she'd say, hey, look at me, I'm flying, and then she'd be on the ground. And then she'd be flying again, and then she'd say, hey, look at me, I'm flying. Then she'd be on the ground again. It's the same sort of thing. In other words, she's flying as long as she's not trying to involve anyone else who has shortage beliefs.
I see.
You see, what happens with this expansion is that there are all kinds of things in your vortex of creation that are ripe and ready for you to pluck, that would fall into the category of extraordinary or even supernatural. But you cannot bring the comparison of what is too close to it, or you create a gap that doesn't allow it to be. So that's why we were saying earlier, we were really talking about this with some intensity. If you can be one who is reaching for the essence of it, for the alignment of it, rather than for the manifestation of it, until you become familiar with it in the way that you've become familiar with appreciation, when you become familiar with it so that it just feels like the next logical step, then it will be the next logical step for you. A giant leap for mankind, but the next logical step for you.
I see. So by that meaning everything falls in a certain order. For example, I've put so many things in my vibrational escrow, and sometimes I feel like four of the same things that I asked for have presented themselves, and I don't know which one to choose, or I feel like I have to choose. Does that make sense?
Well, it makes sense from a physical standpoint, but if you've been asking for them and 4 things have shown up and you feel that you have to choose and they are all identical, then who cares? Pick one. If they are all identical, who cares? Pick one.
Right.
But if picking is hard, then they must not be identical.
That makes sense.
There must be aspects of them that you would like to blend together. So blend them together, 4 into 1, and then pick it.
Thank you. One last thing is I was just curious why you never come to New York City. Everyone's out of the vortex there.
Certainly, that is certainly not true, and it is in the plans and in the works. But it's interesting because it's as simple as this. The simple thing that is sort of in the way is, how come you never come to New York City? It really is that simple, wouldn't you say? Doesn't it feel about like it's about that much resistance? Oh, they never come to New York City. They never come to New York City. They never come to New York City. They want to. They just never come to New York City. They just never come to New York City.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in New York City.
Soon.
Thank you very much.
You are the one.